Hello. My name is Lisa. I honestly don't know why I'm writing this all down. Maybe it's a desperate attempt to make it feel concrete, like something I can grasp and understand. Or maybe, just maybe, by putting it onto these pages, it becomes less real, a story I can close the book on and pretend never happened. But it did happen. And it's still happening. It's always still happening. This whole nightmare began when I took a summer job at the Stonehaven Retreat. It used to be a serious research outpost focused on, I don't even remember what. Astronomy, maybe? Now it's just this sprawling collection of old, slightly dilapidated buildings scattered across a hill overlooking the shimmering surface of Silver Lake. It sounded idyllic, didn't it? A summer of fresh air, starry nights, and pretending to do science. Picturesque, truly. Except for the one thing that wasn't. There's this old dome, the heart of the original outpost, perched precariously on the very edge of the property line, practically collapsing into the dense woods below. It's been shut up tight for years, abandoned after whatever happened inside. Nobody talks about it openly. Just hushed whispers that it's structurally unsound, dangerous, strictly off limits. A forbidden ruin on the edge of the forest. But the dome isn't just an empty shell. For as long as anyone working here can remember, almost every single night, without fail, something appears in the broken window on the side facing the lake, facing our cabins. A pair of lights. Glowing orange lights. It sounds almost absurdly simple, doesn't it? Just lights. When I first heard about it, I immediately started brainstorming rational explanations. Headlights from a boat out on Silver Lake. A strange reflection of the distant town lights? That's what the older staff called it, the gazer. Like it was some kind of local legend, a silly ghost story cooked up to spook the new recruits. Some of the old-timers swore it was just the sun hitting a piece of glass or metal at a weird angle. Or maybe a leftover prank from a previous summer that nobody ever bothered to dismantle. But the sun sets long before it shows up. And it appears every single night, like unsettling clockwork, right around 8 p.m. Never earlier, never later. Just there. I decided, maybe because I'm pathologically curious or just bored, to start logging its appearance. Just for fun, you know? To collect data and definitively prove it was nothing more than an optical illusion or a mundane explanation. My friends here, Sarah, Mark, even Emily, who's normally the most pragmatic person I know, they joined in. We started passing this worn notebook around, scribbling down the time it appeared, what we saw, what we thought it could be. Just a little game to pass the long summer evenings. Like trying to solve a silly local mystery. Emily, trying to be practical, joked that maybe it was just a lost raccoon, its eyes reflecting the town lights while it was stuck on a ledge. Yeah, right. Because when you look closer, when you used binoculars, like I eventually did, determined to get a better view, you saw it wasn't just lights. They looked like eyes. Unnaturally large eyes. And they had these huge, gaping, black pupils that seemed to swallow the light around them. And they didn't just passively glow there in the dark. They trained on you. No matter where you stood, looking out from the cabins across the lake, those orange eyes seemed to slowly, deliberately pivot, fixing directly on you. A slow, silent acknowledgement that you were seen. Mark, my friend Mark, was the first one it really seemed to affect. He started complaining that he couldn't sleep. That he felt like the eyes were watching him, specifically. He'd get this distant, unnerved look, like he was truly and deeply spooked by something intangible. We all told him, to just close his curtains, to ignore it, to pretend it wasn't there. But it didn't help. You just knew they were still out there, focused on you, even behind the thickest fabric. The awareness was like a cold weight settling in your stomach. Sarah was scared too, though she's fiercely private about her emotions and tried hard not to show it. She kept trying to fill pages in the logbook with details about other things, the tennis matches we played, helping guide hiking groups up the local trails. A desperate attempt to cling to normalcy, to prove that this strange phenomenon wasn't the central focus of our lives. But even she admitted, quietly, that they scared her more than she wanted to let on. She wrote, barely legible on one of the pages, that they felt familiar, somehow, like something she'd seen before in a dream or a nightmare, but she knew, with bone-deep certainty, they don't mean any good. And reading that hit me hard. Because that's exactly how I felt. A rising tide of dread that defied rationalization. Looking at them through the binoculars felt like peering into another world. The orange glow was like dim neon, somehow both soft and intense. There was nothing visible holding them up. No wires, no strings, no structure whatsoever. Just the eyes, floating there in the dark frame of the broken window. They looked solid, shaped, like something physical, yet ethereal. It made my stomach clench with a sickening anxiety every single time I raised the glass to look. What is it? What could possibly just float there, watching? We kept watching, kept writing, kept trying to find an answer. But the feeling just grew. From a creepy local story we could laugh about nervously, it transformed into a persistent, undeniably unsettling presence that felt like it was pressing down on the whole retreat. And then, things started getting genuinely weirder. One evening, after a dazzling fireworks display over the lake that lit up the entire sky in bursts of color, I saw figures near the observatory dome. 2 men, wearing dark suits and hats, which was bizarre considering how unseasonably warm the summer had been. They were moving, oddly. Jerky, stiff movements, like marionettes whose strings were tangled and pulled by clumsy hands. They kept looking up at the dome, then back towards the main buildings, going in and out of a small side entrance I'd never noticed before. It felt wrong. Deeply, profoundly wrong. I reported it, mentioning the strange way they moved, but nothing came of it. It was just dismissed as staff or maintenance finally doing some necessary work on the old building. But the way they moved, it wasn't human. A few days later, Mark saw them too, or others like them. He described men in white coats, their faces obscured by mirrored silver sunglasses. He said they walked like robots, with that same weird, wobbly, unnatural head movement I'd seen. He caught a glimpse of an eye behind the sunglasses on one of them. He said it was incredibly bright, like it was lit from inside. What are these people? Are they connected to the gazer? Are they trying to hide it? Or are they something else entirely, something attracted by or controlling the thing in the window? Emily, bless her practical heart, the one who wanted to use her hiking rifle on the supposed raccoon, she actually brought her thermal sight onto the property one night. She used it on the eyes, hoping to get a heat signature, something definitive. She hasn't written in the logbook since that night. Not a single word. She just dropped out of our little project. She gave me the scope the next day, just handed it to me without a word, her face pale, and told me quietly that I should look. She seemed distant, quiet, different. Whatever she saw through that scope, it had changed her. It scared me more than I can say. And the eyes, they seemed brighter after that night. More intense, as if they were demanding attention. At this point, the fear wasn't just a game anymore. It was a cold, heavy knot in my stomach that never really went away. I started feeling like the eyes weren't just watching us generally anymore. They were watching me specifically. Not just looking, but truly seeing. Seeing into my room, into my life, knowing when I was alone, knowing what I was doing. It felt like they were slowly, deliberately, taking something away from me. My peace of mind, my sense of safety, my very ability to feel unseen. And the fear itself, oh God, the fear. It wasn't just being startled by something unexpected. It was overwhelming. A primal, all-consuming dread that felt like connecting with something vast and ancient out there. Something that actively wanted me to be scared, something that seemed to feed on the terror it inspired. It felt like it could see right through me, know every private thought, every secret fear I held. The feeling of being so utterly exposed was terrifying. Let me know in the comments if you've ever had a feeling like this, like you're being watched by something unseen, when you know logically there's no one there. It's a uniquely horrible kind of dread. The journal logging stopped for a few days after Emily gave me the scope. The fear was too potent now, too real to just document. I had the thermal scope. I felt the pressure mounting, the constant, unseen weight of being observed. The eyes were always there now. Every single night. Burning into the dark, waiting. Sarah and Mark came over to my room one evening. They were worried about me. I hadn't been myself. I had the thermal scope Emily gave me clutched on my bedside table. I wanted to show them. I think, deep down, I still harbored the desperate hope that seeing it through technology, reducing it to mere heat signatures, would make it less supernatural. Less terrifying. Or maybe I just couldn't handle the feeling of being the sole focus anymore. My room. I hadn't really noticed how bad it had gotten. It used to be neat, organized, a safe little haven. But the fear, the debilitating lack of sleep, the constant, gnawing dread, it had taken its toll. My things were everywhere, strewn across the floor. Furniture was overturned, knocked askew in restless nights or moments of panicked pacing. It smelled bad. A thick, cloying odor that was hard to place. Like something vital had gone rotten and was slowly decaying within the four walls. I knelt on my bed, the thermal scope heavy in my hands, holding it up to the window like a telescope pointed at the heart of the night. I focused it towards the abandoned observatory dome across the water. Sarah and Mark were just watching me. Their faces etched with concern in the dim light of the room. Through the scope, everything was transformed into shifting colors, thermal signatures glowing and fading against the cooler background. But the eyes, they were just as clear, just as bright, just as relentlessly focused as they were with the naked eye. And as I looked through the lens, as I saw them burning with that unnatural orange heat, I felt that connection again. Stronger this time. More profound. It felt like reaching across an impossibly vast void and touching something ancient, something infinitely patient and utterly hungry. And then I saw it. Not just the eyes anymore. Something behind them. Or connected to them. Through the thermal vision, I saw heat. But it was wrong. Jagged shapes, unnatural, impossible angles that didn't belong to any creature I knew. It wasn't a raccoon hiding on a ledge. It wasn't a person standing in the window. It was something else. Something fundamentally alien and terrifying. I screamed. It wasn't just a yell of surprise or fright. It was shrill, animalistic. A sound ripped from the deepest, most primal part of me before I could even think to stop it. I threw the scope as hard as I could across the room. It hit the mirror on my dresser with a sickening crack, shattering it into 1,000 jagged pieces that scattered across the floor like deadly confetti. I just kept saying it over and over, a frantic, breathless mantra. Don't look, don't look, don't look. I don't remember much immediately after that. The shock, the fear, it was too much. Sarah and Mark, they just left. I guess I can't entirely blame them. Who could stay in a room with that kind of raw terror? They left a note later, slid under my door, saying they were there if I needed to talk, that they were just in the next cabin. Good friends, trying to help. But I couldn't talk. Not about that. Not about what I saw. After that night, things got worse. Much worse. The smell in my room intensified. It was awful now, a suffocating, sweet decay that clung to everything. People started complaining about it. They tried to get me to open the door, knocking, calling my name, their voices muffled but insistent. But I couldn't. I stayed there for days, huddled in the reeking darkness, the broken mirror a constant, terrifying reminder of what I had seen. I could hear people outside, their voices worried, trying to get in. Management eventually came. They forced their way in, the door groaning on its hinges. But I wasn't there when they finally breached the room. But I came back later, I think. I heard they could hear me moving around inside again, making noises, scrabbling sounds in the dark. Stolen. I stole this journal. Sarah is such a heavy sleeper, her cabin right next to mine. I got in through her window. I broke it, the glass making barely a whisper of sound. She didn't even stir. She looked so peaceful, so beautiful, asleep there, untouched by the dread. I almost touched her face, just to feel something clean and real again, but no. No, no, no. Big rule. Can't stain her. Can't put the smell on her. It oozes now. I know I ooze. Can't leave my room again, not really. They'll take me if I do. Waiting till they take me out. Before I go to see the dome. Before I go to meet him properly. Sometimes, when I squint just right, I can see him. He's not far now. Right there at my window. But I can't see him clearly. Just a shape, a presence. But I'll meet him soon. I know I will. Have you met the gazer? They tried to stop me. When I finally left the room, someone grabbed my collar, tried to hold me back, but I tore away, left before they wanted me to. Hello? I went to the dome, drawn to it. They're still looking, out on the lake, bobbing lights from their boats. But they won't look in here. Not in the dome. The gazer will snap at them if they try. He will. Right? Oh, but he's greater. Greater than I could ever have seen through any scope, any window. So kind. The way he looked down at me. He doesn't have lips that curve into smiles. No cheeks that soften with warmth. Not much skin that matters, not in the way I understand it. But he has teeth. And the eyes. Most beautiful eyes. Like the sun? Or floaters hitting the light? No, not at night. They swim, like brine in a deep, lightless ocean. Orange, a black hole in the middle that pulls you in. His skin, bone pale, stretched tight. Head big and strange, like something soft that's been chewed and discarded. And his coat, beautiful, so white but so stained and dirty. Little scabs clinging to the fabric. Streaks of dark blood that look almost painted on. My mom always said peroxide gets blood out. But he likes them. He said they're beautiful. Like my friends. Like me. He says the dirt and the stains are just proof of his love. He looked down. Those big, huge, swimming, ancient, loving eyes. And I felt home. No pulleys. No strings holding him up. No hidden structure. Just him. And what he loves. He loves when the sun goes down. When the world gets dark and quiet. When he sees all his children play in the shadows he casts. I asked him why they called him the gazer. Why did he watch us? He told me a father is the gazer. And he loves all of them. He watches for a tight ship, for his family to be safe and close. He loves them. And he loves me now too. And if you don't watch out, the gazer, he'll love you too. Lisa Miller was reported missing from Stonehaven Retreat on July 20th. When retreat management finally gained access to her room, they found it in a state of extreme disturbance. Furniture was overturned, papers were scattered everywhere. Bite marks, later matched to her own dental records, were found etched into the walls. Her dresser mirror was shattered, covered in blood and other fluids, all matching her. This journal was found years later, hidden deep within the crawl space beneath the abandoned observatory dome at the edge of the property. Still watching? Still waiting? Like and subscribe if this story gives you chills and you want to hear more accounts of the unseen.